Good morning. We're going to get started here. Just allow people a little bit of time to roll in. All right. So, hello and welcome to today's Wyoming Community Navigator Program webinar. My name is Mandy Bailey. If you've been with us before, you've seen me quite a bit. I'm the Advising and Education Director for the Wyoming Community Navigator Pilot Program. I'm going to be your facilitator today, so I'll be working behind the scenes to assist as best I can with any technical difficulties that may arise and also questions that you might have. So make sure you monitor the chat. We will be dropping in some helpful links and information in the chat today. This webinar is being recorded and a link will be sent out probably about a day, or you can also check our website, wyomingcommunitynavigator.org, for this webinar and all of our previous webinars as well. Just to give you a little bit of information about the Wyoming Community Navigator Program, we are funded through the U.S. Small Business Administration and utilize Wyoming's entrepreneurial support network to reduce barriers that all small businesses often face, including those owned by women, veterans, those from rural communities, and communities of color. We do this through a hub and spoke model. So we pursue our goals through collective efforts from our hub and our spokes, providing training, access to capital, and access to other resources to help small business owners build resiliency and ultimately be the driving force behind Wyoming's economic recovery. Today, we are going to hear from Tanya Harrison. Tanya has been with us the last few weeks, and we're going to hear about Systems Unlocked today. Tanya is the founder and CEO of Signal Partners and is transforming operations and helping small businesses move from being busy and burnout to productive and profitable. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Tanya.
Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to our presentation. I'm going to be talking about systems today. So if you've been with us for the last couple of weeks, you know I get really excited and giddy when it comes to all things operations. But this one, I have to tell you, if I had a favorite, this would be it. Let's go ahead and dig in and get started. When I'm presenting systems, when we're talking about systems today, it's going to be a little bit different than what you may have heard in the past. And this is something that I have learned just from working in corporate and helping to implement systems within large organizations. So today, I want to provide an understanding of comprehensive systems and how you can effectively integrate them within your business. Now, when it comes to systems, a lot of times I hear from small business owners that it can be a bit overwhelming. The goal today is to break it down in a way where you find it implementable just break it down into steps where it'll be easy for you to implement, but also you'll still be able to receive all of the benefits that you need to receive. When we implement systems, it improves our overall performance. And this does include productivity and our profits. The more efficient we are, the more profitable we can be within our business, especially for those of us that have small teams. When I talk about systems, this is what comes to mind from a lot of different people, right? So, so one of the things that I notice is that people get really overwhelmed because they think this is just going to be too much. And that's not necessarily the case. But like I said, we're going to make sure that we present it in a way where you find that it's not overwhelming. When I'm talking about a system, I'm talking about something that's comprehensive, interrelated processes, strategy, technology, practices, all coming together to achieve a specific objective. Your business will have multiple systems and subsystems. I'm going to give them different labels. You can call them whatever you want. The objective is to make sure that you have the systems that you need within your business. An example of one is your attraction and acquisition system, or many people refer to it as the sales and marketing system. That is the overarching system. But as a part of that, you're going to have subsystems. So you can have a awareness and attraction subsystem, a lead capture subsystem, an engagement subsystem. So these are all a part of a bigger system. At the end of the day, you still have an objective that you're trying to achieve, regardless of how many subsystems you have. For those of you that are on the call, if you could drop in the comments the type of business that you have and how many people are on your team. When we're talking about some of the benefits of implementing systems, number one, it improves the quality of outcomes. And what happens is that we find something that works. And this is even when we're testing out our systems in the beginning, we find something that works and then we are able to improve it and we are able to achieve repeatable results because now we're doing the same thing over and over again. I know that by doing these steps, by integrating these things, I achieve this outcome. I can work to improve the outcome. And at minimum, I can achieve repeatable results if I'm satisfied with the outcome. It also increases productivity because now I'm not reinventing the wheel every single time I do something. For many of us that started out as solopreneurs or that are solopreneurs, time is our biggest asset. So we want to make sure that anything we can do to minimize time, we are definitely trying to do that, right? So if we could find something that works and do it over and over again, it is easier than every time I get a client, I'm trying to remember what I did. I'm trying to reinvent the wheel. So it looks like we got a mix. We got 7 on a team, just me on the team. 5 on a team. So we have different levels of teams or different sizes of teams, I should say. When it comes to systems, they help with the onboarding process for those of you that have teams, but it also helps with the process for clients and partners as well. When we are onboarding our clients, for those of us that are in service-based businesses, we want to make sure that, again, we have something that is streamlined and repeatable. This applies to those of us that sell products, right? So you may have a system, your delivery system, that includes how you package your goods and send them out. All of those are a part of that. The cost of not implementing systems. So there's usually a cost that's affiliated with not doing something. And one of the things is not having systems, it can lead to unpredictable results. Because again, we're doing something different over and over again, and it's not in a controlled environment. So I'm doing it this time, I may get one result. I do it another time, I may get another result. Another thing is mediocre or poor customer experience. Once I lock down on something that really works, I am going to try to do that over and over again so that my customers can get that high level, that good experience. Inefficiency, we want to reduce that anytime we can. Reports and statistics show that 20 to 30% of revenue is lost per year due to inefficiencies. So again, as small business owners, we want to make sure that we are taking advantage of it. And overwhelm, it can be overwhelming when we are going through and not having a systematic way of doing something and not having systems within our business. When I'm talking about systems, I'm thinking about 4 key components of effective systems. And this is something that, again, that I've found over and over again. We need to have an objective. What is it that we are trying to accomplish? Why are we even implementing this system to begin with? What's our strategy? What's our plan? What are we trying to accomplish? Especially in small businesses, right? We have to utilize strategies in different areas within our business. it helps to keep us on track, and it helps to keep us focused, right? Here's what I want to accomplish, which is my objective, and here's how I'm going to accomplish it, which is my strategy. And your strategy can be something as specific as a content strategy for those of us that have a digital presence, and we use social media as a way to market our business. So you may have a content strategy, what content you're going to present, what platforms you're going to use, how often you're going to share information, what type of messaging, all of that goes into your strategy. Once you have your strategy down pat, you definitely want to make sure you have processes. Your processes is going to dictate how you're going to do certain things, right? Step by step, how I'm going to do it. And then the last thing is being able to leverage technology so that we are able to do it more efficiently. And also technology improves the quality as well. So when we're breaking down the system breakdown, we're going to start with just an overall roadmap, and we're going to use these 4 key elements, and they're going to answer specific questions for us. From what do I want to accomplish, which is our objective. Again, our strategies are what does it take to get there? And then our processes are the steps that I need to take in order to accomplish it. And then the last one, again, is how can I get there faster or more efficient? So this is our technology and tools. So as we see going through this, when we're talking about systems, we're not just talking about the technology that we use. We're talking about everything that goes into building these comprehensive systems to achieve the outcomes that we're looking to achieve within our businesses. Here I've listed 7 must-have systems. I'll talk a little bit about each one of them, and then I want to go into using the breakdown to actually develop your system and start the implementation process. Now, while I do recommend that every business have these 7 systems, there's going to be other systems and subsystems that different businesses will have, but these are the ones that apply across the board. If you have any questions at all, you don't have to wait till the end. You can drop them in the chat and I'll answer them as I go along. The attraction and acquisition system. So this is what I call it, but a lot of people call it your sales and marketing system. This basically dictates how you're going to attract your clients, right? So how do I make people aware of me, my brand, what it is that I have to offer? How do I attract them? How do I get them to actually engage with me, whether it's on social media and networking events and things like that? But more importantly, how do I get them off of these platforms, outside of the networking event, off the social media, off the blog, if I'm using the blogs? How do I get them off of that and onto either my email list, my text messaging list, or whatever it is, so that I can continue to engage and close the sale ultimately? So that all encompasses under your attraction and acquisition system. Your referral and retention system. Now, I think all of these are important, just to kind of throw that out there. But some of them I find are low-hanging fruit that we can reap more benefits if we implement them first. But we'll talk a little bit about when you should implement what. Your referral and retention system. This one it basically focuses on your relationship with your customers and being able to leverage that to gain referrals. I either want to have people come back and purchase with me again, if it's something that I'm selling, like the tea, or something that I'm selling what they can use over and over again. I want them to come back and purchase from me or work with me again, or at minimum, I want them to refer me to other people. In the beginning, this was my sole source of customers when I first started. It was all referral based, which to be honest, right, it could be a little tricky if this is your main if your main way of getting clients. So you do want to make sure you have a mixture, but it's definitely good to have this on your side. Optimization and administration. So this system is going to help you, number one, continuously improve and optimize your entire operations. But the administration part is that those basic tools and basic processes that you have to keep your business running as efficiently as possible. And this could be from how you store documents, to how you manage projects. All of those would be included as a part of your administration and optimization system. The strategic management system. This is the one that includes like your goal setting. How do you determine what it is that you want to accomplish or going to accomplish for the next 3 to 5 years, for the year, for the next quarter? All of that is included in here. Having a way, whether it is having a process and tools and all of that to help you stay online. So when we started this series, we started out by talking about metrics. Metrics would be a part of this system, right? So how am I going to measure? What am I going to measure? What are my KPIs going to be? What tools am I going to implement? All of those would be a part of this system here. The next system is our people system. This one is important whether you are a solopreneur or you are managing 5 or 7 people, because this one is not just your team, right? So it encompasses your team, but it could be partnerships, your vendors, your contractors. When I first started out as a solopreneur, I did a lot of contract work. So I would go to Fiverr and Upwork and hire people for specific projects. Having a system of how I go about doing that made it easier when I go out and I want to hire somebody, but also for a team, right? Having a people system is important for that as well. And then the last system is the money system, because we definitely have to have that, right? So this is critical, our cash flow, our financial stability of any business, right? So all of that, what's coming in, what's going out, your projections, all of that is included in your money system. And then the last system is the WOW delivery system. And this is how you deliver your products and services. And how do you make sure that your customers are having, or your clients are having, a great experience. And again, leading into that referral and retention system of how do I get them to come back for more, and how do I get them to refer me to other people. And this one I want to talk a little bit more about. So I do, like probably most of you, I do a lot of reading, and I follow Chick-fil-A, because that was something that, an organization that we studied a long time ago at school. But one of the things I noticed with Chick-fil-A is that they implement all 4 of the components of a system, right? So with their drive-through, with their with their drive-through strategy, right? They actually came out and they said what their objective was. They wanted to be able to provide services accurate and quickly without diminishing the customer's experience. So that was their objective. And when they implemented their strategy, one of the strategies that they implemented was the face-to-face. So they have their drive-through, and even though it's a drive-through, they have the face-to-face aspect of it. And in the article, it talked about the processes, that even though we perceive it to be one big process, they broke down the various processes that are included in it, right? So they have a process of how they take the order, how it goes to the back, how it's fulfilled, how it's given to the person, and everything in between that. So that makes up all of the different processes of that one delivery system. And then the technology, which they have continuously enhanced, right? So they went from taking your order with a note on the pad. They were, handwriting it, to now they have the actual pads where they take it. Then they have the little card kiosk thing where they give you, so you don't even have to touch it. They don't have to touch your card. You kind of just put it in there and you go through the process. So they have continuously updated their technology and tools. And that's something that we could do within our business. I don't recommend people start at the top, right? So you don't have to have the most robust and elaborate technology in your business. You can grow to that, but you want to remain innovative. This is a roadmap that I have, and it's included in one of the handouts that Mandy dropped in the chats. But what it does is that you'll see here, this is going to help you walk through whatever system it is that you are trying to or looking to implement within your business. The WOW delivery system, I kind of took that one out because it's definitely a critical system that you want to have within your business. And if you look at it for this example, and we can do another one if anyone has one that they want to do, but for this example, we have the WOW delivery system, and the objective is to deliver exceptional value and provide an environment where each client feels seen and heard. And this is actually one of mine that I implemented. And the reason why I have this objective is because of who I serve and some of the feedback that I have gotten, from people just not feeling like they are being heard. They're paying for these services and they feel like the consultant isn't listening to what it is that they're saying that they need and they want, but they're telling them what they need to do. So one of my objectives is to make sure that I am, hearing them and I'm making them feel seen and heard as an objective. I always think about the quote from Maya Angelou that talks about, people may not remember what they say, but they remember how you made them feel. So that is key. And then of course, I want to develop a partnership that keeps them coming back if I have additional services that they could use, and at minimum, referring me to someone else. In doing that, one of the strategies that I've used is a personalized touch with a simple process. When I first started out, because I really enjoy technology, I had all of the bells and whistles. And then it wasn't until somebody actually told me after I started asking for feedback that, once I got through the upfront technology, everything was great. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, I didn't realize that I was overwhelming my customers in the beginning because I like technology, and the assumption was that we need to implement a whole lot of technology and that is what's going to help us, where that's not always the case. Sometimes we need to pull back on the technology and maybe have it more in the back end, which is where most of my technology is, in the back end, running the back of my business. So the strategy was a personalized touch with a simple process. And some of the processes that I had to implement was an onboarding process. So what happens from the time my client says yes to the service? How do I get them on board in a way where they know everything that they need to provide to me, and then I get everything that I need? So all of that is included in my onboarding process. And then there's a communication process. And these are not all of the processes, but just to give you an example of how this would look. Then there's a communication process. Another thing that I learned is that while I don't provide customized services, so everything isn't customized, like there's not customized packages and things like that, I can provide a personalized touch. And this has been a tremendous help, right? Just remembering the little things, you know what I mean? So how do they like to communicate best, right? Are they good with uploading the information to a CRM? Do they like, text messages? Do they like emails? And of course, I don't employ all of the things, right? They get to pick from what it is that I provide, but I try to provide the ones that are the most, that I have found to be the most useful to my clients. And then the delivery process. Included in that process is how I'm delivering the services. What exactly am I delivering? Understanding what value I bring to the client and what is of value when I'm delivering it, right? So this has helped me to enhance my services that I provide. And then the offboarding is a process. So all of these are components of the WOW delivery system. The last thing is technology and tools. For me, I have found my CRM, my customer relationship management software, to be extremely helpful during this process because it allows them to have a client portal. They can go and they can upload information, and then I can get the information from there. I can also upload information for them to download. So for those people that are overwhelmed and inundated by email, the CRM works extremely well. Um, Video software is something that I use to, again, provide a more personalized touch where I could just send little clips of videos, but then also I can screen share my screen to share information with them, to go through a process with them. And then my project management software to keep me on track, because just like most of you, there's a lot going on. Um, so I'm always conscious of, making sure I'm staying on track. I'm not just delivering services. I want to deliver them on time or ahead of schedule whenever possible. And my project management software helps me to do that. So does that make sense in terms of how all of this comes together to create comprehensive systems? I want to kind of get your feedback. And you can drop any information in the chats, because I do want to go open up the handouts and take a look at that. So when it comes to deciding what system you should implement first, for those of us, we're in business, we already have some of these things in place. It may feel or look a little, thank you, Justin. It may feel a little fragmented, right? Because we may not have all of it. I find that, like, many small business owners, we think, well, we don't need to have documented processes because I have it in my head. You know what I mean? But then what happens is we end up forgetting the step, or overwhelming ourselves because it's just too much stuff in our head. So, having it documented is a part of the process that is going to be extremely helpful. And then that way, when you onboard team members, it makes it extremely easy to onboard them without using a whole lot of your time. When it comes to the technology piece, one thing that I want to say is I understand that, it can be difficult to know what technology that you want to implement, but I do recommend that once you have a strategy, you can Google, you can Google different technologies. Like you can literally put in, technology or tools to support a content strategy, and it has to be like, general enough where Google will understand it, but it'll start to give you some feedback in terms of what type of tools you would need. Going back to what system you need to implement first. It depends on where you are within your business and what your immediate needs are. As an example, if you find that maybe you are not getting as many customers as you want, or you feel like the attraction isn't there, then you may want to start with your sales and marketing system, right? Because we got to get people in knowing about our products and services, buying our products and services. So it's an extremely, important platform or system to have if you don't have it. So I would just take a step back, assess your business, and see where you are and what the biggest need is. For instance, if you know, okay, I'm bringing people in, right? So I'm selling something and I'm getting people to buy, but they're not coming back. That may be something with your delivery system that you want to work on. That's if you have something for them to come back to buy, right? Or if you find that people are not referring, maybe you need that referral retention process and system to put in place. So just kind of take a step back, evaluate where you are within your business and what your biggest need is. And that would be the system that I would focus on. The great thing about these systems is that when it comes to the technology, you're not having to go out and get 50 different platforms. So my CRM, which is great for my WOW delivery system, it also helps me with my sales and marketing system because I'm able to track the leads. I'm able to put enough information in there that when I follow up and engage, it is more personalized. I'm not sending out all canned communication. Some of it is when I'm following up, I can tell them specifically about what it was that we talked about, specifically about what it was that I recommended or what they were interested in. That's the same CRM that I'm using for my WOW delivery system. So now I'm using it in the WOW delivery system, in my sales and marketing system, and then also on the back end in my referral and retention system. So that's the great thing about some of these technologies and tools. They can be used in multiple systems. So you don't have to, worry about getting a bunch of different software. What may change, or definitely will change, is your strategies and your processes. So I want to go to, I'm going to pull this up. Stop share right quick. And I want to pull up the actual documents that were dropped in the chat. So with this document, one of the things I thought would be helpful is providing some of the different processes and technology that you would want to, or you may want to implement. And again, it depends on what your strategy is that you are using, and that will determine what it is that you want to implement. So with my strategic management, and I kind of have this at the top because if we really think about it, that planning piece, that's where, it starts, where we kind of determine what it is that we want to do, what our goals are, what our high level objectives are. It starts up there. So when we're thinking about this, and I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but I do want to provide some information. So for those of you that have been with me for the last 2 weeks, some of this you may have already heard. But for our strategic management system, we're going to have whatever our strategy is. But for processes in general, these are most of the processes. These processes would be applicable to most businesses, is what I meant to say, right? So we want to do SWOT analysis. We want to understand our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The business metrics. So identifying what our business metrics are going to be, what standards we want to implement for our business, and what key performance indicators we want to track to see if we are on track with achieving our goals. That is going to be a process that you want to have. I recommend doing annual goal setting and 90-day planning. But however you decide to do that within your business, you want to have a process for that. And then monthly and quarterly review. This is something that is extremely helpful and a lot of times it's missing. So on a monthly basis, just going back and reviewing what it is that what it is that you did the last month or the last quarter, and then setting the intention for the next month and for the next quarter. As far as technology and tools, I use Google. So, some people may use Outlook or Microsoft, but I use a Google Suite, but you may use Microsoft Suite. Data analytics, they have systems out there that you can upload your information to that can help you with your data analytics. But if you are just starting out with tracking, I would definitely say Google Analytics is a great starting point, because now you can, put Google on all kind of places, right? So you have it in your email marketing, of course, on your website, but you could put it for those of you that schedule appointments. You could put it, the code within some of the scheduling software, which is extremely helpful. And for those of you that actually sell products, you want to make sure you have it there. So that's a good place to start. Your accounting software and project management software. Of course, again, it depends on what your goals are, but these are some general tools that you definitely want to take a look at. For your attraction, sales and marketing, I use schedulers in my business. So I've heard that, some people say that you may not want to use a scheduler, but I use social media schedulers, especially if the platform doesn't have a scheduler, because it allows me to structure and be in more control of my time. So I have content days where I set up all my content. But if you have a podcast, then you're going to have a podcast host. I'm just going to go out and say it. I feel like everybody should have Canva, probably because I just love Canva for doing really quick graphics. Who on the line uses Canva? Am I the only one? Because I just adore Canva. Yeah, I like Canva, definitely. And then Canva has where you can schedule too. They've had that for a while, if that's, something that you can use. But I use, just really quickly, when we're talking about technology, I don't know if you go to AppSumo, if any of you have used AppSumo. Oh no. Okay, I've never used it for a logo, Justin. I use it for like my social media graphics and things like that, and these handbooks. But I go to AppSumo, and AppSumo has all of these different platforms, and you get them for really cheap, right? So it's really before everybody knows about it and before it hits the market. So I got a, just as an example, I have a scheduler, it's called Socialmonials. I got it for $49 lifetime deal. When I got this scheduler, it didn't have TikTok and all of the things, because I've had it, I think, two or 3 years, but now they have, they have TikTok. So they continue to add the different platforms as they come out. So, if you haven't checked out AppSumo, when it comes to the technology part of your systems, I would definitely check it out. And then I got an appointment scheduler on there for $19 lifetime deal. So they have some really great deals. So definitely take it out. Take a look at it. Okay. Okay. For the nonprofits. Okay. That sounds good. So, when it comes to the sales and marketing, again, you want to make sure that you have your processes in the technology. So I listed a couple of processes. So for me, because I have a virtual assistant that helps me with my posting, I have a process, that includes her, but it's one process. So it has my part, and then she knows her part in it. So it's definitely helpful. I have a process for how I develop content, how I store it within my project management software. And then for technology, I'm hoping that everyone has email marketing. as a part of their sales and marketing software. The WOW delivery, we talked about that one, so I'm not gonna go over that one, but this is in your book. But for the referral and retention system, so I would think about what it is that you want to accomplish, right? So we know we want to get people coming back, and we know we want to refer them. But think about how detailed you want the system to be, right? So am I willing to, pay people for leads? So I'm going to have like a loyalty program, an affiliate program. If that's the case, I definitely want to make sure I have those processes in place to support it, along with the different technology, right? So how am I going to pay people out, and how can I automate this as much as possible, so that it doesn't become overwhelming? So in the beginning, if you don't have a lot of people that you have to pay out, you may be able to do that. But as you continue to grow this system, then you're going to want to have some type of technology that is going to help you automatically pay people out, through PayPal or Stripe, once a month, or however often you decide to do it. For your optimization and administration system, this is the one that I talked about is going to keep you optimized across your business. One of the things that you want to consider is that from an administrative perspective, this is the in and out of running your business. What are the processes and the tools that you need in order to help you effectively do that? And so for me, I work with clients and we are sharing passwords. So for technology, I want to make sure I have a password sharing tool. So I use LastPass, but there's plenty of them out there. And then I also want to make sure I have a process for, how do I go about sharing or obtaining this information for them? And then how do I utilize it on the back end with my virtual assistant, right? Making sure that I have a process for all of that. How do I store my documents? Where do I store my documents? All of these are processes that you want to have. If you're selling goods, you want to have, of course, an inventory process. But going through and just thinking about all of the things that you may do on a regular basis that you may have come accustomed to doing, but what happens when now you have to share that with someone? Is there a documented process that's going to allow them to quickly get up and going? I think about, what happens in my business if I can't do certain things. By me having a lot of documentation allows my virtual assistant to step in and do some things that I may not be able to do. And now I'm not worried about all the things not getting done. I'm only worrying about a handful of things that may not get done if I'm not available. If you don't have a project management software, I would recommend having one, especially if you have a team. It's a really great way to not just keep up with what's going on and who's doing what and where they are throughout the process, but it's also a great way to communicate. I find that a lot of people get overwhelmed with what's going on in the inbox and they get sidetracked. So having a way to communicate that's outside of the inbox is usually pretty helpful. And a good project management software will help you do that. I use ClickUp, but I've used Asana, Trello. There's so many great, platforms out there. When it comes to your people system, some processes you want to think about is, how am I going to onboard new people? How am I going to communicate with them? How am I going to manage, their performance, software access, who has access to what, how does that work? Technology, again, I have password sharing on here. Slack is a good tool to communicate as well. If you want to communicate, with people. I use, again, Google. So if you want to, have a process for who has access to what calendars, You definitely want to do that. And again, project management software. Again, you may see this a couple of times, only because, like I said, the project management software is something that crosses across different systems, but it's extremely helpful. The money system. So this is, about maintaining the money, what comes in, what goes out. You may have different strategies that you want to implement. Many of the people that I work with, they are trying to increase their profit, because that's one of the biggest benefits of operations. So usually we're working around that, but you can work with your accountant on a tax strategy, a cash flow strategy, things like that. Your processes, some important processes you want to make sure you have is month-end closing. How do you close out the month? What I found is by me implementing just this process alone helped me to increase my revenue, because I became more cognizant of outstanding invoices. So it's really great to have platforms that'll send out reminders and all of that stuff like that. But putting that process in where I close the month is kind of like, okay, 2 reminders have gone out. I need to make sure that I'm really, on top of this. So having that month-end close process and having an invoicing process was extremely helpful, because, when you're inundated, sometimes things can get away from you. In terms of tools and technology, accounting software, I know that some people do their budgeting and their books in Excel. I like accounting platforms, because now if I'm getting money through Stripe or PayPal, I can have it, all go to one place, my accounting software, and it takes account of any fees and all of that stuff like that. And I don't have to manually do it. So I really like, oh, I haven't heard of it. So I have used Zero, Wave. I used to use QuickBooks. So I don't know if anyone on the line has used it, but just making sure that you have an accounting software is definitely going to be extremely, extremely, extremely helpful. If you have a team, payroll management, you know what I mean? Again, CRM, because my CRM is where I do my the invoicing, and then your payment processor, so Stripe or PayPal, using one of those. But those are the processes and some of the technology that you really want to think about. Now, the last system is not one of the systems that you saw in the presentation, but this is one that I feel like we tend to overlook, and this is our self-care and well-being system. I know, especially for me, it has taken a lot of time, for me to get to the point where I am focusing more on me. In the beginning with business, I was doing the long hours, 7 days a week, and all of the things. But just, having something in place where I'm going to take 1 day off a week, I'm going to take so many hours off a week, whatever the case may be, just incorporating being able to take regular breaks, going for walks, whatever it is. We definitely want to make sure that we include that as a part of it. And I just feel that it was important enough to put on here, because so many, I've had several friends that have, have had issues. I'll just, say it that way, because we're not taking care of ourselves. We're so focused on the business, and I get it. It takes a lot. I'm not saying that it doesn't take a lot, but just making sure that we are taking care of ourselves, and we're spending time with our family and friends, and doing some of the things that we like to do. So physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, just taking care of ourselves. Yes, amen to that. It's just a lot. But just a reminder, there's costs to inefficiencies. So I would recommend picking one of these systems that you're going to implement and going forward. And then the system roadmap is really, where you can start to play around and do some of that stuff, right? So with the system roadmap, this is the one that you saw that was filled out. I always like to start everything with my vision so that we're not getting sidetracked. I find that there's a lot of noise out there, and it's so easy to get sidetracked and look at what someone else is doing. So I'm always focused on what my vision is, what my mission is, what it is that I feel that I'm supposed to be doing. So everything I do starts with that, even the planning process. So I'm not losing track. And then you want to identify what your system is. What system is it that I want to work on? So the one that we did the example was the WOW system. So making sure you have that. What is your objective? What is it that you're trying to achieve with this system? And then going into the strategies, so if you go to a consultant and you work with someone and they provide you with a strategy, then from that point, now that you have the strategy, now you have to start to put together what are the processes, what are the steps that it takes for me to accomplish this? And then what technology can I use to enhance this, to make me become more efficient so I'm not wasting a whole lot of time, right? Because again, we want to do things as efficiently as possible. So is there a system that anyone wants to dive into, or you have any feedback about a system that you have? So I love technology. Or if there's some technology that you want to share with us that you have found to be extremely helpful within your business.
Tanya, when we think about the self-care and well-being system, I imagine one of those ways also would be some healthy boundaries with our email, our phones, setting up some boundaries in terms of that as well.
Yes. Ooh, yes. So one of the things that I do is I find that if I email somebody, that's why I'm not surprised, like, about how many hours business owners work. If I email somebody 9, 10 o'clock at night, it's likely I'll get a response. So for me, and then now I'm stuck, I'm in the cycle. So for me, I delay my emails. So even if I'm working late, I delay them so they don't go out until the next day during business hours. And then that stops me from getting into that cycle. But then I also have where there's times that I cut off, so for me, I don't work on Sundays. That's my day. I don't, so just having that, like you said, Mandy, just putting those boundaries in place. But to be completely transparent, that was one of the hardest things for me to do. It was really difficult to put those boundaries in place. And the likelihood that it'll cause a problem is hardly ever. But a couple of weeks ago, when we talked about standards, one of the things we talked about when it comes to standards was having those things in place, right? So I'm going to respond to emails within whatever, one business day or what have you, and just making sure you're staying within that realm and not overdoing it. But boundaries are extremely important. And not answering the phone. So if I said that I'm off work at 6 o'clock, then I shouldn't be answering the phone at 7. So great point. Does anyone have any tools that they use that they have found to be extremely helpful within their business? Or are you looking for a tool and would like recommendations? I've worked with a good amount of tools. I don't know them all, but I've worked with some pretty good ones, and I'd be happy to share some.
I asked you previously, I think, what is the scheduling tool that you work with and the project management tool that you work with?
The scheduling tool that I work with is TidyCal. And again, $19 lifetime deal. But and I got it like a year or so ago. But TidyCal, and it has, so you could think of it as comparable to like not Acuity but Calendly. It would be more comparable to that. And then the project management software that I use is ClickUp. Extremely robust, but I like Asana, Trello. Those are some good ones as well. I got probably a good amount of my software lately from within the past 2 years from AppSumo. Even my CRM, my customer relationship management software, is ClientJoy, and I've used the Honeybooks and Dubsado and all of those, and this one has all of the same things. But what I like about it is that the client portal is simple. I don't have to worry about people getting lost. They can go on there, download their contract, download their invoices, upload information, and they're out. A lot of the people that I work with, they don't have time to play around with all the bells and whistles. They want to get in and out, and that's perfectly fine.
So Tanya, I imagine also, depending upon the industry that someone is in, there's probably industry specific software as well that could be looked into. Is that's
yeah,
accurate?
Yep, that is accurate. So I usually recommend that people go there first, but at minimum do a needs assessment, right? So, and I have a tool that I could share, but do a needs assessment to decide what it is that you need within your business. So what works for someone may not work for someone else. And we want to make sure that we are really cognizant of, I'm not just using this tool because my business bestie uses it in their business, but it needs to work for me. So, you know, do a needs assessment to understand what you need for your clients, for you, your team, and just running your business in general.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Tanya, for being here with us again today. You have been so valuable, and I would encourage everyone, please check out wyomingcommunitynavigator.org, our past events, because Tanya presented on KPIs and metrics previously, as well as a 90-day game plan for your business. So please check those out. We will be back again October 5th. We are going to explore consumer packaged goods launch blueprint. So if you or anyone you know is in consumer packaged goods and they're interested in learning some manufacturing and how to get those on the shelves, please attend us. Please attend with us. That's going to be October 5th. As always, we have a survey following this as well. So please take our survey because it continues to allow us to provide you with content that's valuable to you and your small business. So thank you, Tanya, again for being here with us. Thank you all of you for joining us. And I hope everyone has a great Friday and a wonderful weekend. Bye.
Thank you.